This is the Long War. I'm Rob Bear, and once again, joining me are my partners in crime, Stephen Boucher. I mean, Kenny Boucher. And Stephen.
We have merged into one person.
That's
finally.
That's y'all's Hollywood name.
Yep.
That's our media name.
All right,
Stephen
look.
Boucher.
Stephen Boucher.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make. I'm hot.
Yeah.
We moved the Beats Laboratory today. And, well, it was kind of a 2-day affair. And thanks so much for all the guys that came out and helped in my new hometown. And you know, it was really exciting. Thank you, Stephen, for coming out. I couldn't have done it without any of you guys. So
Is your air conditioner broken? What's going on? Why are you so hot right now?
dude, I don't even know.
No, actually, the reason why he's hot right now is he was in the sun on and off for about a total of 13 minutes over the last 2 days. So this is what happens.
That's too much for Rob.
Yeah, it was a lot
accurate.
of trips back and forth from stairs to the trailer and loading everything up. So no, man, good gracious, what for anybody who lives on the 3rd story of an apartment building or anything like that, and you think to yourself like, oh, I really want to move, I should ask my friends because they're good friends to me. You, sir, are not a good friend if you ask your friends. Just pay people to do this. It is miserable. Wait till it's not 110 degrees out. No, but it was a great time. We moved it, got Robbie B located from Virginia to the new Beats Laboratory home in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
The new home of the battle reports.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah, we got a fresh room in the Casa de Rob Bear.
Casa de Cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
They still haven't come out of my bedroom yet. They're cautiously exploring.
You know, they're just prepared for at any given time that they're going to get thrown back into another box.
On the subject, real quick, on the subject of 3rd floor struggles, let me tell you how lucky I got with my apartment. Because I said I would never be on the bottom floor again of any apartment. So when I moved into my apartment complex, I was really sad because all I saw was 3-story buildings. And you know me, I'm literally not walking up 3 flights of stairs. If there's not an elevator, it's not happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
But I need to be on the top floor. So it's like, this is a conundrum. There's no way. Like I would have compromised maybe for like a fire, like a firehouse pole or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, like in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I would have compromised, but they didn't have that. So I was like, look, do you guys have any buildings? We have one building in our whole apartment complex that's 2 floors. So it's like, I will take that building. Well, turns out we have one vacancy. I was like, I will take the 2-bedroom. That's the only one we have. Perfect. Yep. So I'm the only guy who doesn't have to walk up 3 flights of stairs and doesn't have anybody above him.
Yeah, that's love.
It is a blessing.
When you're fat and there's obese, it's kind of similar contrasting problems to like Rob. Rob can't be out in the sun. He can't do any heavy lifting. Yeah. I'm fat. Same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like one person between the 2 of us. I feel like.
Let me tell you something else too. So in the debate of like where the Beats Laboratory is going to be, and Robbie B's weighing out his options and stuff where he wants to go. He's like, but guys, this place has a pool and a gym. And it's really nice, and I was like,
you're literally
literally, Rob, what are you getting a pool and a gym for, dog? Like for everybody else?
Are you paying for that?
Why you should have paid for the place that doesn't have that because it's probably $200 cheaper, But it's.
I feel like the money's going.
No, it's
guys,
great quality.
Think about the value.
There's a lot. Yeah, look at all this value. There's like stuff. It's value packed. There's fans. It comes with fans.
You can do stuff, and there's things going on, but I got it going. So yeah, big shout out to the Dudley brothers from VA.
Oh, the Haleys.
Who we call that? The Haleys.
Yeah, the Haleys are the Dudley brothers.
I like that.
Yep. So big shout out. Big Kelsey Haley was able to somehow talk 40K lists, drink 3 beers in one hand, and carry 2 dressers all down at once. That's literally what he did for 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
I think
he's better, man. You see how big he is?
He's secretly Zangief, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we talked a lot of 40K while we were moving stuff, and then
here's a spoiler. Anytime we all get together in the same room, whatever funerals. Anything.
Yep.
Let us honor him.
Yeah.
Let us honor him. No, it was good. It was good. And there's a lot to talk about tonight. Gen Con was last weekend, so a lot of industry stuff coming out of there. I think we should talk about. Not a whole lot of Forge World and not a whole lot of like on the 40K front, but man, Fantasy Flight. So you guys will be shocked. Did you know that people like to buy Star Wars stuff?
Get out of here.
I was just kicking it with our old friend EJ today, and we talked about some Star Wars versus some Star Trek stuff, and it kind of came to this revelation that it's like, do you know anybody who likes Star Wars or likes Star Trek and actually hates the other thing? Like you know, you always like, oh, you a Trekkie, or are you a Trekker, or are you a Star Wars geek? It's like, dog, literally, I'm a Star Wars. I like Star Wars just fine, but I really like Star Trek more. But I don't hate Star Wars.
Either one.
Like Fantasy Flight is positioned to crush it. Like, I will play any small ship planning style, you know, ship combat game that has any of those franchises involved.
Oh yeah, I mean they just keep putting so much stuff out. There's Imperial Assault, which is like the closest thing you can get to playing Star Wars on the tabletop. You know, it's kind of like got the square base system, but don't let that fool you. It is pretty robust. It's a fun game, and then of course you got the X-wing miniatures, you got all the RPG stuff, and we haven't even seen Episode 7 yet. Like, imagine all the stuff they're gonna come out with Episode 7.
Man. Yes, yeah, that's something that EJ was trying to say. He's like, yo, but isn't it a bad business model because they're going to run out of stuff? No, they will never stop making Star Wars movies, so that means they get to keep making new stuff.
Yeah, no, now when he just released, now when he released the rights to Disney, you can just go ahead and guarantee for another 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have a lightsaber that had a crossguard on it until just now. I mean, this whole time, the whole time that people in the future, or whatever, the past, which is our future Wheel of Time style, the whole time this whole group of warrior space wizards was deciding that they were going to handicap themselves by sword fighting in a laser world. Not one guy said I needed a hilt or a handguard or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, they got it now.
Now they got it, because I mean, just players fuck up, man. They just don't know. You know, like now, think about the new ships, man. You know.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool about the Wave 8 ships. They put the Star Wars Rebel ships in there. You know, from the cartoon. That stuff's not even a year old. Like, they can literally draw from Clone Wars.
Yeah,
all the episode, all the.
You want to talk about Clone Wars? That's Juice's jam.
Yo, I couldn't even. I was like, I'm not gonna be rude and overspeak Rob real quick. But let me just tell you what, Clone Wars, you can make a whole game out of that in itself. Like, it was that cartoon. That stuff is amazing. If anybody doesn't, you need some extra stuff. If you've listened to all the Long War videos and everything else out there, and you're like, man, I'm still modeling and I need something, go to Netflix, go on and watch episodes 1 through, I think there's 8. And dude, it's some good Star Wars. Oh,
Evan just said a good point. The Star Wars Battlefront trailer came out too for EA. Holy cow! Like, I gotta go buy an Xbox One now. Like, before November.
So it's just so funny.
So I can play Halo. So I can play. What is it? Fallout 4.
Halo 5.
And then I need to go buy stupid PS whatever they're on, just so I can play Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. There's new Street Fighter. Wow.
The new Street Fighter is exclusive. So it's like, so that means also my arcade sticks that I get down on every night with my lady, they don't work obviously because they're OG Xbox 360 crap.
Oh.
So I gotta buy 2 new arcade sticks. I gotta buy a PS37. I gotta buy an Xbox One. I'm literally as poor as it comes now.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, that is one of the things. Like, something hasn't come out to make me get rid of, the 360. And I'm like, man, I just gotta go Xbox One. So
is that the classic 360 white?
Oh yeah, Luke came in to pick us up this morning, and he's like, dude, what's that noise? Do you hear that? Sounds like a helicopter. I was like, no, that's just my Xbox running.
You got the old Xbox arcade. I've gone through like 6 of those in my life.
No, it is hilarious. So, real quick shout-outs. We're already through. I'm sorry I haven't gotten everybody sooner, but Zach, what's going on? Excuse me. Thought it wasn't a lightsaber, but a weird Inquisition or Inquisitor saber. So, I like it. So we've got Evan checking in. What's going on? He says, Rob, I've got that same Titan poster framed up on his desk. So Evan also says, Juice, when did you change your name to? It's actually I am now Stephen Boucher, and it's Kenny Ford.
Damn, I'll take that. Kenny Ford sounds good. I like that.
Yep. Sean Brown, Mr. CEO himself. Zag Black Tower Terrain checking in. We've got Ender in the house. What's happening, dog?
Oh yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. We know it's a different night because we were moving. Sorry, but thanks for coming out on a Thursday. It'll be back Wednesday next week. Like normal.
Good old Lucas Sutherland, famous Luke. We always talk about, and came in clutch this weekend. Had his big F-250 and 18-foot trailer. We moved Robbie B and almost basically one load.
It was mostly all for the cats. I feel like.
Yeah. Yep.
You put the cats in the trailer and all your stuff in the truck bed?
Yo, first off, he put the cats in a cardboard box at first. Then we found out they're basically like raptors after the second time.
It's three grown men.
Not be contained.
Three.
No lie.
To put these cats. Yeah, like
dude. The box is closed. Tape is being applied to this.
Chestburster alien.
Next thing you know, this like 19-pound cat comes bursting out, and like you snatch it by its legs in the air. Like, man, it's unbelievable.
I don't know how he's so powerful. I don't know.
It's that weight. Roger checking in. So Plastic Horse Heresy. Is that crap or not? How does everybody feel about it? Also, what was with that heart-shaped waterbed we moved in? Yes, Roger, I was trying to figure out the same thing myself. I was wondering also why there's a mirror above that heart-shaped waterbed in the shape of a beast.
Well, duh. I think you know why.
Yep. So, yeah, Plastic Horse Heresy models. And then, spoiler alert, Robbie B, is GW going to be selling something else next month?
What's next month? Next month is
Forge World.
Siege.
Is that correct?
Oh no, that's like next week. Yeah, apparently Forge World's gonna be next week. The 14th. It'll go on the GW site.
Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Yep.
I just watched that video. Yo, I wanna talk about something real quick. I want to backpedal real quick before we get to the meats and potatoes and talk about X-Wing just for a second. As basically and officially an expert in X-Wing with my 3 or 4 games that I've played.
Oh, expert.
Solid expert here.
Clearly.
And also I'm the full-time editor of the Long War videos. I just edited the current X-Wing video that's up in the Hall of Veterans. And that was, I think, Juice playing against our good friend Abe. And so that was our second episode in the Battles on Other Fronts, which, I'll tell you guys real quick, a little bit more about that here later, that we're going to be starting a secondary auxiliary podcast about Battles on Other Fronts to talk about the game systems. But so I didn't watch that game in real life. Like, I don't always have the opportunities to be in the same room as these games happen. I got next level painting. We got all the super boring stuff that it takes to get the Long War going, all that stuff, So I was editing this battle report, so essentially watching it for the first time. But when you're editing the battle report, you're kind of watching it with an eagle's eye, And I got so into that game between Juice and Abe. Like, I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, it was like probably the most intense, like exciting. Like, it was like a clinic in my opinion. Like, I'm a long-time expert at X-Wing, like I said, so it takes a lot to impress me. So I mean, like, I just urge you guys, you got to check it out. It's intense, man. Like the use of the barrel roll, the maneuvers, like having it, like, and obviously, all joking aside, like, not an expert or super noob. I'm just gonna move my guys this way, and I'm gonna do this. I'm really such a beginner with how to move my guys this way, try to stay in a tight formation, and try to do something. Basically, the way I think is I can't even begin to start thinking about what my opponent's plan is and try to outguess them. I literally have to stay focused on what I'm going to do because I'm not at that level yet,
Mm-hmm.
Where Juice has actually played a ton of games. And, he's been playing already for more than a year. So I can see exactly when he's trying to outguess Abe. And Abe, who actually has a lot more experience with it, too. So the things he was able to do with trying to, with being comfortable with his game plan while trying to outguess somebody. And also talking about, this is my go-to. I always do this and this and this in this situation. Like, I guess I always take that for granted with the 40K battle reports. Like, a lot of nice comments coming from YouTube. Hey, thanks for explaining the tactics. It's like, why wouldn't I? Because I'm very comfortable with 40K.
Mm-hmm.
But now being a fan and wanting to learn how to do X-Wing, I finally get it. Sitting there editing it, I'm like, this is mind blowing. I literally never would have thought of that. And I thought about because I knew what my ship action was going to be the second I revealed in the planning things because I can't think on that level. I can't think on the fly yet. I gotta like be really comfortable. And he like is flipping his cards, making his moves, and he's looking at the situation. He's like, you know what, I was gonna do this, but now I'm gonna do this because you did this. And I'm like, nope, literally never would have done it. I don't even So I urge you guys, check out this X-Wing video. It's amazing.
As you were saying that, I was going back and thinking about that game. Like, there was some super tight maneuvers. Like, it was nut to butt on a couple of those moves.
Oh my God, there's this one move I just couldn't believe it. Like Juice has done that a couple times. We have another video coming out. We have 4 of them coming out in this season before we start the new the new mini league. And this is a standard Juice eyebrow procedure. He lines stuff up and he gets it done with his eye, man. Like the old days of 40K before you could pre-measure. I guarantee Juice had that lock back.
Yes, no, that is actually the one of the main reasons why I did not like 6th edition is because it took pre-measure away. So, and I prided myself, man, on knowing what what a 7-inch charge looked like, knowing that my plasma gun is in or out of range, knowing stuff like that. So one of the main things I love, because even like a game like Dust that I got into and I really loved, it was still pre-measure everything. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, so it's really cool to get back to a game system where you've got a 1-inch stick, a 2-inch,
straight up against the rules. Yeah.
Yes, straight up, and there's no like just sitting you take measure down. It's like, and there's no gray area. Like, well, it's okay, just move your bottle back. No, there is a rule set of what happens when you land in this comet, or when you're on top of another ship, or what you do. So I love it, man. It is an absolute blast.
No, I agree with you there. Like, I kind of missed the pre-measuring too, but I think overall it's
the lack of pre-measuring.
Well, yeah. I think it's better overall for the game. I feel like
Warhammer 40K doesn't really have a reason to not pre-measure anymore.
Right.
Now with like random charges and stuff like that.
That is the number one reason you can't actually is because of the random charge distance. You have to be able to have it.
Yep, and also pre-measuring in Warhammer 40K allows you to, because back in the day when you knew, because you were clutch, right, and you knew it wasn't a 6-inch. You knew it wasn't 6 inches. You looked at that and you just knew he was like 12.5 inches away. But you knew he was going to start moving his model 6 inches, and somehow he was going to be in charge range, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So you would have to now enter this dialogue with your opponent. It's like, let's just measure it now. It was literally against the rules to measure it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love now where it's like, hey, let's measure the whole thing out now. Let's see what the total distance is, so we know what you have to roll on your pre-measure. So on your charge distance. So I love that now in Warhammer 40K. But that's what I'm saying. It's like X-Wing has a need, like a reason not to. I love that about the game, and watching people who are much better at the game than me perform these maneuvers.
Yeah, and before we go on, and I know we've talked about this a lot and things, but for anybody who's just now tuning in or hasn't went back and watched all the other episodes, I do just want to give this bit of information out that really helps the game move forward in 40K. Is please make sure if you're in a situation and your 40K model, I must have did this thing 7 or 8 times at ATC this past 2 weekends ago, but where I have a model and I'm getting ready to, and it's in the movement phase, and I go to move my model and I know I'm going to assault, and my opponent knows that I'm going to assault. Before I touch that model, I'm just going to go ahead and measure from my model to his and say I'm 13 inches away from you. Subtract my 6 inches because I'm not a difficult terrain or whatever that roll is, and now this is the number I have to hit. I mark that number with dice, and we already say, hey, look, doesn't matter. Like, this is the predetermined. We already know this. You will find that if you do that, there is no variable that's involved. There's no nothing. It makes the game a whole lot smoother. You just make that one roll and move the models.
Agreed.
I think that's a lot to do with the playing with your opponent than against them.
Yeah, and then immediately I read people and they're like, "What are you trying to do? You're trying to pull something?" I'm like, "Nope. Let me just explain this real quick. This is why. Because I could overmove by 1/2 inch and that could screw you over. I could undermove by something. I could take something for granted. Here, this is a predetermined, and we go.
Yeah, the more times you have to touch a model in a turn, the more inaccurate the movement's going to be.
Yeah, and it's the best. Yeah, fact. Yeah, the best thing to go with that is pool. Pool is all about angles, numbers, distances, and everything else. Would your opponent, when you're playing pool, say, "Oh, I moved my cue ball. Is that okay? Can I just put it back? Can I move it again? Or where was it at again? I can't remember. It roughly was here." So that in a game with movement in inches, this is about the same equivalence.
Yep. I totally agree.
Evan wants to know real quick, talking about the Forge World and GW, will they change shipping policies? by
You know,
having GW on their site?
That's a good question. Nobody knows. Like, nobody knows yet if you'll be able to get the Forge World at the GW store. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but will you be able to? Will you be able to get it? Is it going to ship out of Memphis to the U.S.? Like, if you order it, will you get it 2 days later instead of a month later? You know, there's a lot of uncertainties right now. But the CEO himself said it was going to happen summer 2015. So.
Oh, Sean Brown said that?
Right.
Mr. CEO said that it's happening. So let me tell you, when Sean Brown gets what Sean Brown wants, okay?
No doubt.
Sean Brown, he knows what's up.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting because people love Forge World. I don't, shocker, right? I can't wait to get some stuff and not have to order to get the free shipping because buying 250 pounds worth of stuff at a time is kind of ridiculous.
Yo, I would also like to pose, I know this is something we talk about a lot, but how ready are you guys for tournaments around here to fully accept Forge World?
And I think that's going to be the big thing with you can't hide anymore. People are like, oh, it's 40K approved. Well, they took that out completely. There's no more 40K approved or 40K not approved. It's just part of the game now. So now when it's like part of the GW store, there is nothing anybody can say. Except for you can just put a restriction on it, like for there's a tournament out there that's 01 on Forge World. I suppose you could do that.
I'm so sick of not being able to use my Malin throw, and I have to go back to this stupid Venom throw. Like it's not even the fact that and yes, I would love to run a Hierophant. I would love to run something else, but like there's just little things, and I'm sure some people are like, I really want to run a Contemptor Dreadnought. I feel
like now that we have the redos, like the second edition books, the Imperial Armor second editions, we're seeing the rules fall into line, where they're written by people that are playtesting this stuff and they know what the values of the points are. So we're seeing better points values and better rules being written for this stuff. So it's becoming, to me at least, it seems like it's becoming more and more mainstream, that people are more accepting of it because of these most recent books.
Yeah, and at first I'll have to say, the West Coast guys, they've all been about Forge World, and we've always been more reluctant. But it's time for everybody to get it in gear, even at your local events and stuff like that. Like it's just time. Like let's just have some Forge World, man.
No, I agree. I'm 100% behind that. Now, whether Heresy should be part of it. Oh yeah, we got a big tournament coming up this weekend.
Yeah, what do you got going on, Robbie B?
So I'm running a tournament at Hobbytown USA in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So it's their first tournament at their new store, and they wanted me to run it for them, which I've run quite a few local tournaments, Road Trader level stuff. It's a little bit easier to manage than some of the big GTs.
So this could actually be called, this is the Hobbytown USA 40K tournament, home of Rob Bear?
I wouldn't say.
This has got to be your new base of operations, though, right?
I'm sure I'll be going by there and stuff. It's right down the street and everything. So
classic Rob Bear redirect answer.
Yep.
It doesn't actually answer the question.
Rob Bear does live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and is a North Carolinian. We will claim him. Us as the North Carolina representatives.
We claim him.
I have possibly a hot topic I've been thinking about a lot, talking to EJ and stuff. What do you guys like? So let's rewind all the way back to 6th edition. 6th edition, when the sky was falling, formations were happening, Mountain Brothers were out of control. Tower were jumping into Space Marines,
monster creature squadrons.
Oh my God, Space Marines, Mountain Brothers, all sorts of people that shouldn't have been. And then Forge World, super heavies, and then everyone wanted to restrict everything. Wow. And then, so, like, back in those days, we were going all over the place. And one of the things we used to preach was no preservatives added 40K. Yep. We don't want to dilute anything, right? And so, but the main reason we were saying that was, like, we hadn't even played one tournament that let us play with all the rules. How can you make a decision about a rule system and restrictions and potentially comp when you haven't actually tried to play with all the things? And I'm not saying you shouldn't design a tournament, a separate tournament guideline than a playing at your home guideline. There absolutely needs to be. Like every really amazing game company does that. They have a tournament structure, So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a difference. I'm absolutely believe that all roads lead to there being a difference. But what I'm saying is, how could you make those decisions without actually having tried? And now, where we are in 7th edition, we've tried a lot of things. You know, we've seen 5 Wraith Knights, we've seen a billion everything. We've seen two Lynxes, you know, we've seen them all. So now I feel like there's been enough years, enough games, enough people who've let it be open to ask you guys a question. Like, where are you guys at now with potential restrictions to the game?
I think they're a must.
I don't think they are.
I think they're a must. So we had a with the weekend, or excuse me, I should call it the weekend because I was gone for 2 days. So, but with the last couple of days, I think one thing that got brought up is Kelsey's point. He is on the fact we started talking about stomps. I don't believe stomp indeed belongs in the game. Period. And he immediately was like, yes, it does. It belongs because you got stuff like Alan Pajama Pants is running a Corn Demon Prince with a 2 overrollable and 1 save.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Very hard to deal with. Death Stars, very hard to deal with. Invisible units, super hard to deal with.
I feel, yeah, it's so, you go down this hole of where does it end? Where does the, let's eliminate this, let's eliminate that, let's eliminate this. So, I mean, I know what I don't like. I do not like stomps and Ds. And maybe if we bring it down to where there's only 1 unit that has stomp, then it's more acceptable. But 50 D shots in a turn, like, no, I don't think that's acceptable.
The main reason, and I appreciate Rob as a stickler here, and I'll try to take the middle ground here. The reason I'm leaning a little bit toward Juice right now is the reason I don't like stomps is because it's not appropriately pointed. My Death Star that stomps are there to combat costs 1,300 points. You know what I'm saying? A Wraith Knight costs 295. You're like 1,300 points of Wraith Knights shits on everything, including what I have. Is what I'm saying. It's like, so they've been, so because they're a game company that doesn't think about tournaments right now. We are probably in a place now where we have to start thinking about tournaments and what shouldn't be in a tournament, because the TO's job is ultimately to create as balanced of an environment as he can for whatever his personal agenda is, like however he's trying to like bring Jaime back in his own way. So the only reason, so I think stomps are fine to combat these things. If a Wraith Knight was 475 points or whatever it should be, you know, like if a Kaitan is 550, a Wraith Knight needs to be 555. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you on that point. For real.
So rather than try to rewrite the points of the game, I think it's a smarter road to come up with some type of tournament restriction. And I think that, you know, you can be really conservative, you can be really liberal. You can go no super heavies. You can go okay, some super heavies, or just 1 super heavy, or just 3 detachments. I do believe, for sure, people have to get over saying you can't have 2 cats. That's ludicrous.
Well, I want to. Oh, that's a great point too. I want to jump in here on both of those. So first off, if you can find a way to restrict the stomp mechanic, based on gargantuans and super heavies, you're right. 1,300 points of Wraith Knight literally shits on everything. But the problem is when you take that out now Death Stars shit on everything all day.
Except the War Convocation. Shit's on a Death Star.
Also,
yes, so,
you know, sometimes if you don't want to play with them, like, you can go my route and just play 5 or 6 Flying High Tyrants, and that doesn't, you know, it's interactive. At least there's.
I agree.
But so, I see what you're saying, Rob. I'm sorry.
But the problem is vacuums start. You know, we were just talking about 6th edition and all these ridiculous restrictions, and that's how Seer Star got created. You know, the boys.
Rob, Rob, you are on point with that. I just want to.
But I mean,
you're right.
No, the reason why Seer Star was created is because of Tau, not because of restrictions.
No, that's incorrect. No. That's why Screamer Star is because of Tau.
Screamer Star.
At the boys GT, which has always enforced comp. A comp system bred a new thing. So when you yes, I agree with you, Rob. What you're saying is whenever you restrict the game, whenever you put a comp restriction in the game, all you do is change what's good.
And you just change the dynamic. But then now you take that. Let's put that in a corner for a second, or put a pin in that. Now
I'll hang on to it.
You're thank you.
I've got it for you, Doug.
So now you're talking about this is like the Tony Stark thing, right? So now you've got the 2 source conundrum, right? How can you say 2 sources when 13 books have come out over the past 13 months or whatever, right? So that's just ignorant. That's just ignorant to say, because I'm the 40K fat kid. I want to play with everything at the buffet. Give it to me. I want to play with this, and this in my army, and I don't want to have to be like, well, I got to take this out of my list because this thing and that. Like, so you have to literally take all of these parts that I just threw out to you guys, and you have to pull them back in, and you have to make a tournament system that's fair and balanced. And here's my thing. Why can't GW do this? Fantasy Flight does it. HeroClix does it. Wizards of the freaking Coast does it. Okay?
That's the point you need to settle on. Is like, why you can hire me and Juice part-time, $9 an hour. We would manage the erratas, the FAQs, and the tournament scene for GW. Like, literally. Why don't they have a guy who does that? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I like where your head's at, Rob. Now go with me on this. Okay. Now, we've seen company. So I do agree. So your first point, instead of necessarily, I would go back on my word by saying I don't think these 5 Wraith Knights belong. I'll retract that statement if you tell me a true comp system comes back by saying if you show up to a tournament, I would be lumped in the same category because I have 5 or 6 Flying Hive Tyrants. I would be hit with this penalty. I think 5 Wraith Knights should be hit with the same penalty. I think this and this. So it breeds getting back to traditional 40K, the love of 40K, you know, for everybody else around.
Are you talking about the magic of 40K from back in the late 90s?
Correct. Yeah, and when you come with that, maybe you even get a bonus. Now, so I don't want to say it's the Swiss comp. I don't want to say I don't know what that comp would be. You know, but I feel that if you don't restrict certain things, then we need to get back to this kind of system, this kind of comp, instead of like restricting models.
So Juice. So to summarize what you're saying is like, so okay, so fine. Don't tell me what I can and can't take.
Correct.
Put that power in the hands of the players who are actually playing the game, and let them police each other. By you bringing 5 Flying Hive Tyrants against my very traditionally balanced Space Marine army, I should have some type of power to make sure that it is known that you have a really spammy, cheesy army, and that should make it harder for you to win the tournament because you can't max out this whole score that's like a hobby score.
Yeah, it's a hobby score. Yes, 100%.
And that would also discourage you from playing such a list because you knew, truthfully, if you went 5-0, but you also got zeroed out on comp from all 5 of your opponents or whatever, you could never win. So why bother playing a list you could never win with? You would have to figure out a balance.
Correct. And this is also, I'd like to do a case in point. You know, now we talk about comp and everybody like starts running saying, no, I don't agree. Well, let me just tell you, I took a Grey Knight army. This was back to Twitchell's store in, I think it's Gamers Haven. I can't remember, something in South Carolina. Borderlands. Thank you. I'm sorry. So yeah, Borderlands. This was a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 now, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for fun. I knew that I couldn't win this event because I didn't bring a painted army. My army was not fully painted. I knew that I couldn't win the event. Guess what I took? Second best, the best general or something like that. I knew going into that because I didn't follow the guidelines. So what is the difference between me saying it's acceptable to say I couldn't take first because of painting? Why could I also not say I can't take first because I'm playing a stupid 12 Razorback spam? You know, or something like that.
I agree with you there. And that, exactly what you're saying, is exactly how the old Games Workshop tournament systems worked.
Exactly.
Were created by Jarvis Johnson.
Yep.
And I agree with you 100%, Jace. I believe that is the true hashtag bringing a hobby back solution to comp. Not telling someone what they can't do, but letting them be able to police each other by saying, yeah, you can bring whatever you want, dog. I'm not going to tell you. Like, if you can convince your opponent that your 5 Wraith Knight army isn't stupid, like, then
how can you say that to your face?
Yeah.
Then fine. But like, I'm not going to. I won't tell you can't play it, but you have to convince Juice to not give you a low marks after the game.
Yep,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, and it's my job. And so like the next thing someone's always going to say is, right, yo, but people are going to abuse this system. Yo, if me and Juice are running the tournament, it's our job to make sure you don't abuse the system.
Yep. Yo, and if people know who went to the last Forged Narrative Seasonal, we don't play no games. Ain't no games being played. But before I forget it, I'm sorry, Rob, one thing I wanted to go back on as well when you were referring to the different game systems, Fantasy Flight and Magic and all that producing this. Now, I'd like to throw something on you. Now, remember one game company in particular that didn't go with what the masses wanted, and another company came in and came up with their own rule set with their own books. There's
D&D. You mean Pathfinder?
Pathfinder and D&D. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
people did not like what was it 4.0 D&D?
You know, Flames. You know,
4.5 or 5th edition.
Flames of War was Warhammer just took Warhammer 40K 4th edition, right?
I did not.
Like
Really?
they literally they basically took 4th edition and adapted it for their game system because they were upset with like what happened with terrain and everything in 5th edition.
Yeah, for sure. But so like what I'm saying, I mean, you're talking. I mean, I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet with all the great minds and 40K minds and everything else that's out there.
Kickstarters, like
yeah,
you can kickstart a new 40K game.
Yeah, but I mean.
So it's interesting you guys are talking about that because see the mechanics to this particular game systems for 4th edition, 6th edition, even Mordheim, there's particular game developers at Games Workshop, like the Matt Wards. Well, he was more of a fluff guy, but those are basically the stuff that they developed. So theoretically, they can take it. They can start a new company with the same mechanic. They can't call things like weapon skill and things like that, but they can adapt it. And that's exactly what happened with Flames of War.
I like
Rob,
that.
I knew Rob knew.
He's a genius. So Ender is coming in saying, Kenny 4 Perez. I like what you did there. Kenny Fore Perez.
Nice.
What a genius.
I'm glad we can make like half an episode about my botched introduction.
It was done on purpose. It's okay, dog.
I wish I could say that. It's just rough. Just having a bad day there.
So, Emperors, I'd like to have you elaborate a little bit. We've hit on so much, but I'd like to know where your head is at in a positive way. Obviously, just so I can agree with you. He's saying that is the truth. It is definitely the best way. It keeps any problems away and any hard feelings or bad experiences. And what are you referencing? So.
Yeah, I'm not sure because he also goes on to say it's nearly impossible to do a subjective penalty system. So yeah, definitely need a little clarification because that's confusing to figure out if you're supporting or against.
And it's either way. Like, make sure if you don't agree with anything, please come on and tell us. And it's not
and that's why I always want to tell like anyone who thinks that like that would be hard to police that system because people would abuse it. It's the job of the TO to not tell you what you can't do, but to enforce the rules they have laid down. And here's a primary example. I hate this. When they say, hey guys, if you give someone a 0 on sportsmanship, you're both going to have to come up here and explain why.
Explain yourself.
So guess what happens when you say that? Nobody ever gives anyone a 0 on sportsmanship.
Nobody wants to
because
you've got a 40-weight tie for
because you don't want to go up there and I don't want to be confronted by it. Like humans are naturally anti-confrontational. So
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically when you say something like that, you're never going to do it. Like, what if you're playing Juice, and Juice is being a dick to you, and now you have to go up there and explain in front of Juice why you gave him a 0? Dog, you're not going to do it. So first off, forget that crap. Fill out whatever you want. And there's simple ways around subjective scoring systems, like averages. If you track it every round and you make an average, good to go. If in the algorithm you notice a trend like one guy always gives out 0s, you just automatically adjust that. You know what I mean? Like, we got computers, dog. I'm not a scientist, but Rob is, and he can figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that is more than cut and dry of like 1 + 1 = 2. Like that is one thing being to the next level per se of the tournament scene. You find that out. And considering, just your local stuff, if that's all you do is play, and, you're in a different kind of mindset. So now when you get here, you realize there is full-on broke-down mathematical equations to figure out stuff.
And also, I want to talk about how funny this is for 1 second. People get caught up in, like, things aren't, like, true statistics. Like, well, there's so many variables in quote-unquote soft scores, which is a demonization of hobby scores. Just like, tournament players and casual players. Those are bad words, in my opinion. So... Mm-hmm. One of the major problems with this whole system, like the policing, like we talked about, not telling people what to do, is as I'm losing my train of thought because I drank for the first time since ATC, I drank a wild turkey tonight.
Congratulations.
And celebration of my gout finally going.
Are we having a gout flare down? It's done.
We're having a gout flare down party right now, and I'm just crushing wild turkeys. So I've officially lost my train of thought, and I will let you guys pick up.
No, well, I got something I want to slide in real quick. I loved Neil Gilstrap's little thing. I don't remember all the details, and you probably remember, Juice, but the way he did it when you came up, at 11th Company, and each person did, like, it asked a bunch of questions, and I think sometimes they were in a different order, like to trick you or something, whatever, and which is fine. And it was like, hey, did you enjoy your game? Was it a fair representation of the Army? It was like, I don't know, maybe eight questions. But like stuff like that is easy to do. I feel like maybe giving out a sheet of paper to your at the end of the rounds, maybe something like, hey, rate your opponent. Was his army exploited? Like, was he?
I like that caveat too. I'm changing the order, not making it always progressively good, medium, bad. Like people.
Yeah, so people aren't clicking the buttons on purpose, like actually making them read it.
And so back to my train of thought that you just reminded me is so to me it's funny because people really want like the hard math of it, like who's really the winner. You do realize we spent like 12 hours today playing a game where people are mismeasuring, rolling dice inconsistently, misinterpreting rules. There's never been a perfect game of 40K play. You know what I mean? So we play the entire we don't play this game on a grid. We don't play this game, with statistics or anything like that. We literally play with the most inconsistent possible things imaginable. On uneven terrain, with tape measures, moving them multiple times, slinging dice and getting them all rolling all over the place all the time. Literally, are you kidding me right now? I want to incorporate a subjectively based, comp system to maybe player police, and that makes you mad because it's not like the hard facts, because it is a soft score, quote unquote. Get out of here. You know what I mean? There's a reason that 40K will never be played for money like Magic. Because it can't.
There's too many variables. There's just too many.
But so I'd like to go on 2 points that Evan is hitting on here. First, can you convince the Queen of England? She is in English. Sounds easier than convincing some 5 Wraith Knights isn't broken. Completely agree with you. But Evan goes and is picking up exactly what you're putting down, Kenny. Excuse me. If you have 6 opponents, you have to rank each of them 1 through 6 on sportsmanship.
That's our system. That's
they take the average. Yep, they take the average of the scores you receive, and that is your score. It gives a forced distribution and keeps someone only from giving out zeros or maxes. That's exactly the purpose of saying you have 1 through 6. You can only give each number out once. So that keeps it from, everybody was my best opponents. Well, somebody has to be ranked.
If you're forced to pick, you will be able to pick. And that's funny that he says that. That is definitely something where we all agree with.
And we definitely like that idea. And the cool thing too is, like, say you're just a dick. Well, guess what? Your opponents are probably gonna rate you. Say it's a GT. You're gonna get 5 ratings. Maybe 3 of them are 5s, like being the worst, towards 6, and maybe 2 of them are 6s, right? So guess what that averages out to? Like between a 5 and a 6. Like it doesn't even matter. Like you didn't even put forth the effort. It doesn't matter if you got some 5s and some 6s. You still just suck.
But just so we know what I'm saying, 6 is going to be the best. A 0 is the worst.
Okay, well, flip-flop that.
We'll just flip it up. I was like, I got a 50 score? That's amazing. Oh, no, that's
not as amazing.
That's what's going
on. Whatever we do, it'll be very clearly written.
Written out there. Lucas Sutherland comes in and says, Mechanicum doesn't care about Wraith Knights. Yes. They don't unless the Wraith Knights are shrouded. Then they start caring.
Juice was saying something earlier, and I wanted to hit on this real quick. You were like getting it back to the 4th edition, the old school, the old feel to 40K, so to speak. I feel like we can't, we honestly, in my opinion, cannot go back to that, and here's why. You have all these crazy formations now that just confer the most ridiculous special rules. So even if you sort out the whole gargantuan creature, sort out the whole Death Star thing, get all that out. Well, guess what? Now these plain Jane Devastator Marines, or these plain Jane Assault Troops, or these plain Jane Cataphrons, you put them in the right combination in these formations, or even the Decurion, or whatever, and they just become like tenfold exponential, and just your stock troops trying to get back to that spirit. So that's a very difficult thing to do. It's also another slippery slope, I feel like.
I agree with you. I think there's going to have to be a line in the sand drawn about with some of these formations that are coming out. Even though we've already established, like Eldar of the last edition, or even Eldar now, are already at a points handicap. They're already getting points added to their army, and it's not on paper.
But yeah, freebies, for sure.
In my humble opinion, I am on the fence. I'm not saying one way or the other, but I think tournaments are going to have to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, look, formations that give you 500 free points aren't allowed. Like, I can see some things not allowed. I can see them saying, Gladiator Strike Force is not allowed.
But then
War Convocation is not allowed. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I just, if we're looking at stuff like this and we're starting to put
that's why it's so much more complex than simply saying no or yes, however you feel. You know what I mean? Like, it can't just be such a, because Juice makes a super good point. Like, if you're playing a tournament where you're trying to balance this, like, why do we even bother having a point system if you play a formation that lets you have 2,000 points?
Yeah. No, you're literally, there's formations where you're getting 400, 500 free points.
Yeah, no, exactly, so there's a lot of work has to be done still to figure out the answer. But I feel like we're giving you guys a preview to what the Long War wants to do and will do in the upcoming in the future.
Yeah.
With events, like we will be attached to some events. We will be doing some things here in 2016, and these are the hard questions we're asking. And as you can see by the diversity of opinions in our organization, you can see we're gonna do a good job, man. Like we have every type of idea here is represented.
I wanted to talk about a really good list. Not to cut you off, Juice. I wanted to talk about a list that was in the top 10s at the AT. It's a Space Marine list. What did you have?
Well, I just wanted to say that with kind of the point where we were just at about the tournament scene and everything, and we've kind of been going on about basically the competitive scene. But earlier today, I was actually talking with a military guy I just met at Robbie B's house, Scott. I actually can't remember his last name. He's basically Captain America.
He literally is.
He's like, so Robbie B is what happened at the beginning of Captain America before he went into the
I jumped on the grenade.
Yep, and then he took the super serum and turned into the Scott, basically.
Scott.
I actually don't know his last name. I apologize. He's very good friends with
Tom
Abe
Allen
and Tom Allen and stuff like that. So, but he showed up and so many people came in. Thanks. The original Marshal was there.
Yep.
So either way, the
other Scott. That's what I was getting.
Yeah, the other Scott.
That was the other Scott.
But I did just want to bring up, with talking with Captain America, he, was saying how he hasn't played in tournaments, he hasn't done these things, but he wants to. But and immediately I was like, oh, what army do you play? He says Eldar, and it's like immediately my competitive side. I was like, how long have you been playing Eldar? And he's like, goes on and talks about craft rule books and stuff. I was like, nope, never mind. You don't have to say anything else. But like, so my mindset was there. So I would like to know, and I did say this, for a competitive scene right now, it is a very tough time to be a competitive 40K gamer. But in my humble opinion, I think this is the best that the casual gamers, the beer and pretzel gamers has ever had. Is right now.
Oh yeah, because there's so many things from the 40K Fat Kid buffet that you can choose from. It's like overwhelming. It's like you used to just have 8 books, and now you have 8 books, and 15 books, and all these formations, and books of just formations, and white dwarfs, and expansions, and I just want them all.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it sums it up of like what Robbie B saying is like looking at something in a vacuum. It's like when you're a beer and pretzel player, you only have about 6 to 10 players that you play with, ever.
Yep.
So it's like you actually don't even care if there's something you guys don't like. You just say, hey guys, nobody play 5 or 8 nights. That's gay, or that's not cool. Let's not do that. But so it. And people don't, but when you enter in the next level, that's where it is. So I mean, loved hearing his side of it and everything else. And so hopefully here soon he's going to be coming to a couple events and things like that. So, but
I'm gonna be I'll poll him and see what he thinks of the events, because I'm actually really excited to hear his fresh take on the whole thing. So let's take a look at this list. It's one of the top 10 lists. I actually don't know the name of the person because the Battlescribe formatting is kind of off for this thing, but you can go to ATC's.
Yeah, Battlescribe is actually really easy to use, but it's a little confusing in the output section.
Yeah, they were having a hard time getting more PDFs.
I'm gonna do a video for sure on like the best ways to do export files.
Oh, please do, because printing out 3 pages is like kind of bananas.
Yeah, I have my Battlescribe files down to half a page.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I want to teach me. Anyways, so this is a really cool list, and I just wanted to talk about it because it's a little avant-garde, it's a little out there, but it's still solid and it's still competitive, and it's kind of fluffy, I guess. So, anyways, take a look. So you've got your typical Space Marine army. It contains a formation, the Skyhammer Annihilation Force, which
which is amazing. We love it.
Yep. Your 2 assault squads, and then the Devastator, she actually took multi-melters, which is interesting. 2 multi-melter squads into drop pods, obviously, so you come in and you're relentless blasting. Then it has your 2
That's because they're so cheap. A Devastator squad with multi-melters is really cheap.
215 points.
Yeah.
Yep, it's solid.
How were the assault squads built? Were they beefy?
It looks like 4-mans with 2 flamers.
So 5-man squad.
5-man with a sergeant. Yep.
So it kept it really light, really light.
Yeah, the whole thing is only 620 points for the whole formation.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. And then he kicked in. And then he went to a CAD. Tiggy, 2 tac squads and drop pods just to like hold stuff, I'm assuming. And then you got the 3 drop pods, and in those 3 drop pods, 3 Centurion Devastator squads.
So you had 9 Centurions.
Right.
Yeah, I basically faced that same army of bouts or whatever twice, and it's rough, guys.
But not 5 Wraith Knights. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's hard hitting, but I tell you what, you can still kill Centurions and you can still kill Marines much easier than you can kill a Wraith Knight. You know what I mean?
No, it has 5. So it has 5 drop pods, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think more than that. 7. It looks like.
So with the Skyhammer Annihilation Force doesn't interact with the 5 because it has its own rules. So it's 5 drop pod. So when you said, I guess he just has. So when you said, I guess he has Tactical Marines drop pods, I don't know why. It's because he needs to drop 9 Centurions on turn 1, so he needs 5. Yep, and so basically, let me walk you through this. He's trying to go first and table you. So this
moral of the story is cover.
He's trying to go first and table your ass. He's not perfect timing in at least one of the squads because he has Tigurius. So that's why it's Tigurius. Basically, whatever unit you have that's in the best cover, that's what Tigurius and his units should have. You have a big beast and nasty armor and cover, or whatever it is, deal with 15 ignore cover, grab gun shots that reroll everything.
Would you guys also agree that 5? Everybody were saying the big bad guy in the room was 5 Night Titans, but we all agreed that 5 Night Titans would never win a GT.
It won't win not a singles event. No, it won't win a singles GT. Not anything 5 or more rounds.
No, you're gonna need at least some jet bikes to
they all have jet bikes.
Or no, 5 Night Titans.
You're gonna meet a war convocation in 6 rounds and you're not gonna win.
Yes, that is
true. Yeah,
true.
so like I just wanted to compare 5 Night Titans to 5 Wraith Knights. It's like, yes, it's gonna beat up a lot of people. It's gonna give people a lot of bad games and a lot of bad taste in their mouth. But ultimately, I don't think 5 Wraith Knights will win a GT. I think the Gladius Strike Force, I think these other Marine builds, those will win GTs. Would you agree?
Yes, agreed. I agree 100%. It's just that when people think about Warhammer 40K, because we're really selfish people, like we only care about our personal game, our personal struggle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when you play the 5 Night Titans and you get tabled, your snap decision is like 5 Night Titans is the stupidest thing ever, 5 Wraith Knights is the stupidest thing ever. But you forgot that guy didn't win the tournament because he got tabled by the war convocation in the 3rd round.
Yep.
So it's not an ultimately big problem to the tournament scene because they're not winning, but they are making you have a field.
Nobody wants to play them round 1.
Exactly. So basically, what we're trying to do to Long War is we're trying to figure out how to eliminate field bad teams by self-policing and holding ourselves to a higher standard, because GW is not going to do it.
Yep.
No,
So Michael Horner has kind of piqued my interest here. He's like, something simple that is killing me is the unending rerolls we have in the game. I just wish units were limited to one reroll a turn, one reroll to hit, a reroll to wound, a reroll, etc. How do you guys feel about that?
I have a lot to say on that immediately. So excessive rerolls, that came out with the Tau Codex, because GW knew they wanted some new combos, but they weren't creative enough yet. So they just said, hey, how about we just make everything potentially twin linked, everything potentially have the ability to reroll wounds or armor penetration, and let's go. So when you do that, you're making a really stupid way. Now that's raw dog rerolls. What I like is like having, like, you've seen a lot more preferred enemy than you've ever seen before. You've actually, if you literally start looking at the rules, you'll start seeing that, like, they've moved away from just straight rerolls in a lot of places to some version of preferred enemy. I love that, because that's more spicy. And even the Space Marine Codex that lets you do rerolls, it's like you get to play this doctrine once per game. These guys get to reroll, these guys only get to reroll once. You know what I mean? That's clutch. That kind of stuff is clutch. In that world of rerolling, I think that's spicy, because that's all about combo building. The stuff like the current Tau Codex, like anything that rerolls like that, is uncreative. I hate that, and I want to move toward this more fancy type of rerolling.
Yep, I know. I completely agree. I don't know if you guys mind, but I'd like to rapid fire the Q&A here. It's kind of stacked up because we've been going on with some great topics. The Emperor is saying, I always love watching grab armies getting put down against the Greed Tide.
Or demons.
Sad face, dog. Carlos checking in a little late, but had to get dinner in before before the wife gets home. Completely understand. Hashtag bringing the hobby back.
That's what's up.
Lucas agrees that maybe we should use the 1 through 6 to rate people, like we used to back in the old days.
I like that.
Carlos also is saying, I'm getting ready to sell my 2 Wraith Knights because of the last 2 leagues. I felt so nasty using them, and people just ran off the board. The Wraith Knights played the game for me, not me playing the game. I completely agree.
Bring hobby back, brother.
That's right. War and Conquest is virtually the same game as Warhammer Ancients and the Warhammer Fantasy early editions. That's
true?
Okay. So Black Tower Terrain says, assuming Tzeentch Demonkin is a real thing, and as a lover of chaos, I would like to know what you guys want to see in the new Demonkin book to help chaos be complete.
Well, I can tell you this right now. Tzeentch is coming. Whether it's Demonkin or not, we're not 100% sure, but look at it this way. There's a big corn release coming out next Saturday, 8/8. Guess what next month is? 9/9.
So
I like what they did there.
I'll just say one thing about since chaos is a part of my life. In the Corn Codex, you notice they didn't have things like obliterators, but they had like Molophanes and stuff, right? Now, I'm anxious to see what they do with the following DBK codexes, because obviously obliterators should not be in a Corn Demonkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so there's an interesting implication. If they make it to Tzeentch, it could be one of the best units of all time, because they are demons. They would be demons of Tzeentch. That means they would be able to reroll 1s on their armor save.
Ooh.
And also, they would have the mark of Tzeentch, which means they have +1 to their rerollable save. So they would have a 2/4 rerolling 1s. It would become one of the best units in Statistic. If they also get Warp Talons, so this is my other point, Warp Talons are definitely not a Tzeentch unit, but Warp Talons are demons. They would be demons of Tzeentch, and they would have the mark of Tzeentch, meaning they would have a 3 of armor save and a 4+ of vulnerable, rerolling 1s.
And I so want this unit to be good because they are so badass looking.
That makes the unit amazing, especially if you could put a Tzeentch Lord on disc, who gets to have like an amazing save like that too, right? So I'm really interested to see what happens. But like, think about how good Chaos is about to be if they just give a custom. Dude, come on, please give me these Tzeentch Obliterators, because everybody else has some way to be invincible. Give it to Chaos. They do that. Chaos is on a different level. Khorne will still be the worst, and all these other guys. You know what I mean? But like, you like, just real quick, last thing, Nurgle. When Nurgle Demonkin comes out, and you give me Obliterators with Shroud, or Molophanes with Shroud, game changer. That's enough said. Please, Juice, continue.
Or Helldrakes with Shroud. Shoot.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, Emperor saying, I don't prefer Forge World in tournaments, but I always run with unlimited sources and no unbound. So I think that is a pretty standard. I think that that's where it should, the minimum of where it's going.
Minimum of awesome, yeah.
Yep. So, in going back to what he was talking about earlier, he was saying, referring to the talk about pre-measuring before moving and charging. So, yeah, awesome. I'm glad that you were there with us, because for anybody who hasn't tried it, literally your next game that you play before you start moving models, that you need a point from A to B, and you would actually pick those models up in between, pre-measure and determine what you need. It is my ultimate go-to for move and run moves, trying to get in the distance for contesting objectives or getting to an objective. You know, so I already have my 3 inches. I have a 6 inch, so that's 9. So if I'm 11 inches away, you know I only need to run. If I get a 3 or better, you know, or 2 or better, excuse me, you know, I will at least be within that distance.
And it's easy to do. If you have a big model like a knight, you can literally just hold down the base and put the tape measure, you know, between the legs or whatever. So like, it's easy. It's easy to do. Yep. So you don't bump it.
So Zach, thanks man for tuning in and letting us know Zach is high as heck on painkillers. I feel you. I'm right there with you. And he's like, all this talk is making him Jones for a dip, which I understand. I used to smoke cigarettes. I'd want one as well. And he's like, you lucky Americans and your insanely cheap dip and chews.
Oh, yeah, oh no, you poor Canadian with unlimited free healthcare.
I will trade you. I will send you all the dip you want.
I will send you all the dip if you send me all the free healthcare, Doug.
So one of my favorite Trivial Pursuit question games and answers. #1 cash crop on the East Coast: soybean, cotton, tobacco, marijuana. What's the answer?
Definitely, in the East Coast, definitely marijuana, tobacco.
Yo, it is definitely marijuana. That is the answer. It is not cotton. It is not tobacco. It is not anything. #1 cash crop on the East Coast.
I live across
like Trivial
the street
Pursuit
from
2010.
The American tobacco trail. But also you can grow fields of like 12-foot tall pot plants out here. It's pretty intense. It's about 1,000 degrees outside, 75% humidity.
It's
real quick, before we go, I just realized we ran over. Sean Brown, Mr. CEO. Hello, gamers. Taking a fast few to pop my head. Oop, I'm sorry. Lost his question. He's got a commission coming up, a full squat battle company.
Whoa.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, squat. He said he posted up some pictures on Spiky Bits Hobbies yesterday, and if you're interested, let him know. Pimping for BTTQ. Love it.
Barely tabletop quality.
You need to let him in that he's now part of the moving all his friends, all of Juice's friends.
Yep.
New enterprise.
Yeah, shit happens moving service.
Yeah, let it ride. Let it ride moving.
Yeah.
That's literally what we did.
Yo,
It'll ride.
We do have cheap moonshine too, dog. Yes, Zach. Zach, we need to put you in contact with Boba Jellic.
Oh,
and he's got all the goods. Unless somebody who is affiliated with the law, then I have no idea. When I mean goods, he's a good man.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about otherwise.
So, man, what a quick hour.
We wrap it up.
We got a lot to talk about in this podcast for about the day.
Oh my gosh,
sure.
There's so much. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's about it for this one. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. On the new night, we'll be back to the normal Wednesday night schedule next week. Hopefully, I get the studio, the workroom here set up next week, and it'll be a little bit more better.
Most bestest.
And we'll get to doing some fresh recordings here, hopefully soon, a couple weeks maybe at least. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Head on over to longwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content and early access videos. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Good night, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
Andy says bye, too.